Now, Tess is an executive coach and founder of the Transformation Agency. She has over 20 years of experience in leadership development. Ooh. She works globally and is passionate about helping leaders harness their highest potential. Her speech entitled Lifting the Lid for Transformation is Tess. Go, everybody!
If I keep a lid on it, I can almost pretend it didn't happen. Or at least that's what I used to think. Growing up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles has really shaped and influenced who I am and how I show up in the world. On face value, the Irish were warm, we're welcoming, we know how to enjoy ourselves, and we'll make sure that you have a great night with us. We'll be singing, we'll be dancing, and we will probably be doing lots of drinking. But underneath, there's pain. Underneath, there's grief. We've learned how to live in a system that feels like a pressure cooker. And we have experienced moments of terror. And one of those arrived in my family in the late 80s. It was a Monday night. I was on the way home on the bus. It was cold, it was dark, and it was really thumping down with rain. And just as the bus got to the edge of the village where I lived, we were stopped by the police. No more cars were allowed to go any further. And my fellow bus passengers were really annoyed because it was a really horrible evening and they had to walk the rest of the way in the rain. For me, I think my heart hit my shoes. And all I could think about was, it's that nightmare that has repeatedly arrived every single night as my head hit the pillow. It's here. They planned it meticulously. At 5:20, just as my father had come back from work and he was at the front door and about to turn the key, he turned to find a car screeching at the edge of the driveway, and he turned and there was 2 guns facing him. He tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. 18 bullets hit the air. Thank God my mum did not make it to the front door in time. He was gone. And the worst thing, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I couldn't process that. I put what is probably called a big, beautiful, glossy lid on it, and I left the country as soon as I could. I couldn't acknowledge that as part of my history. But many years later in my training as an executive coach, it was time to take the lid off. It was time to unpack that experience so that I could, with others, do the same, including for my clients. And what I've learned in situations like that, we need to take a wider context. Somehow we need to look at the wider system, because for someone at some level that made sense, even if I couldn't agree with it. And what I've come to understand is, rather than turning away, we need to turn towards. We need to get back into contact with that experience. And we need to include it and give it a place that we could hold. And when we do that, our systems can settle. When we do that, we can feel more complete. Until then, that experience will hold us hostage and we will stay entangled in the past. So by acknowledging that experience and including it in our history, by understanding there's a wider context and there is some level of reason underneath it. But importantly, to recognize that we've got some gifts as a consequence of living through that experience, and we do have them, as much as we might not want to admit it. When we can include all of that, that's the first and the crucial step in the transformation process. One of the favourite phrases I've got, and some words, if I may steal, from Rumi: when we can stand strong and complete in our roots, we give permission for our wings to fly, and then we have a chance of meeting the future that's waiting for us. Thank you.